The West Point School Board in Virginia agreed to pay $575,000 in damages and legal fees to Peter Vlaming, a teacher fired in 2018 for refusing to use a transgender student's preferred pronouns. Vlaming, a French teacher, claimed that his termination violated his First Amendment rights, prompting a lawsuit. After multiple court rulings, the Virginia Supreme Court reinstated his case in December, ruling that the school board had indeed violated his rights. Vlaming was represented by the Alliance Defending Freedom, which argued that his dismissal was not for something he said, but for something he couldn't say due to his beliefs. ADF Senior Counsel Tyson Langhofer stated that Vlaming's refusal to speak what he believed to be untrue should not have resulted in punishment. Part of the settlement, the school board cleared Vlaming's firing record and revised its policies to align with guidelines introduced by Governor Glenn Youngkin's administration. Vlaming expressed that he was wrongfully fired for his religious beliefs and criticized the school's insistence on a single perspective regarding gender identity. We just talked about a grave injustice, and here's an example of justice, at least. So there is still justice happening in some places in the country. We don't really have a system in place for it. It's not consistent, but in this case, justice. Now, I think the guy deserved more than $575,000 for such an egregious violation of his basic human rights, his basic First Amendment rights. Now, he would have deserved $5 million. Or really, you can't really put a price tag on your First Amendment rights. $575,000 seems like, if you are going to put a price tag on it, seems like a pretty low one. But still, he was vindicated. He's getting the payment. And the school board has to eat crow on this one, which is as it should be. I will say that, as I've tried to argue before, when you hear about these kinds of cases and they're framed as a religious rights case, I understand why they're framed that way legally, and obviously in this case it paid off. So I think Alliance Defending Freedom, they know a lot more than I do about how to approach things like this legally. So from a legal perspective, when you have these crazy cases of somebody, a school teacher or in another line of work, being forced to use preferred pronouns and framing it as a violation of their religious liberty, it is that. It is certainly that. And so that makes sense. But it's also much more than that. It's not just that. Because Peter Vlaming, the reason why he didn't want to use the preferred pronouns, he didn't want to use inaccurate pronouns, it's not just that he's Christian. It's that it's just not true. It doesn't align with his Christian values, his Christian beliefs, but it also doesn't align with basic biological reality. And so really where's Christian beliefs come into this, it's not like, well, I'm a Christian and therefore I believe that if you're a man, you're a man, and if you're a woman, you're a woman. No, you don't need to be a Christian to believe that. But as a Christian, you can't lie. That's the part. That's really where the Christian values come in, is again, I don't need, it's not a Christian value of mine that says that men are men. That's just physical reality. The Christian value is I cannot tell a lie, and I can't cooperate with a lie, and I certainly cannot cooperate with this delusional idea that is also causing great harm to the person that I'm sort of lying on behalf of. And so that's the Christian belief. And I'd like to say that this is part of a trend. When you look at this case and how it turned out, I'd like to say this is part of a trend, and I think maybe it is. Part of a trend where the kind of delusional fever dream that society's been in for the past decade or so is maybe starting to break.